JT Crowley is Talking Books. On the show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world.
Hello, I'm JT Crowley, the host of Talking Books on Web Talk Radio. And today, I warmly welcome Helmut Portmann to talk a bit about himself and his book, Adios El Jefe. What is this book about? How did it come about? And who is Helmut Portmann? Well, let's find out by asking him to join me on the show so he can tell us who he is and what this book is about. He's an American author. He is from Louisiana in the United States. So, Helmut, come and join me on the show.
Hello, John.
It's great to have you on the show, and we've been chatting over the last week or so about a bit about yourself and your book and how we're going to do this. So let's find out who you are. So, who are you? What is this book about, and how did it come about?
So I was born in Switzerland, immigrated to Stone Mountain, Georgia when I was 8 years old. Grew up there, went to Georgia Tech for my bachelor's, and had a lot of interesting, adventurous jobs after that. The first one was in the oil fields, where I logged oil wells in the Gulf of Mexico. I was recruited from there by a contractor that supported the Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Laboratory in Maryland. That laboratory had the job of supporting the weapons system evaluation of a nuclear tactical missile that was stationed in West Germany at the time. This is during the Cold War. And so basically they were interested in me because I had an engineering degree and I spoke German, because they were interested in sending me to Heidelberg as one of their supervisors. So I did that. And spent 5 or 6 years in Heidelberg from 80 to 86, working on this nuclear missile system, and then transferred back to the laboratory in Maryland and went into the submarine security world. My first job was to analyze acoustic data recorded by American attack submarines to find Russian submarines, Soviet submarines. From there, I went on to actually run a submarine security program where my job was to basically protect the American submarines, keep them from being detected. From there, where did I go from there? Let me think. I've had so many. From there, I went to work at the Naval Surface Warfare Center in Panama City, Florida. It's a Navy's mine warfare laboratory. They had actually done a lot of unmanned systems work, robotics work, but they were trying to figure out a way to build a program around that, which I did. They put me in charge of that. I did that I worked there 9 years, got about 9 patents out of that. And you'll see patents appearing, some of the patent ideas appearing in some of my fiction stories, by the way. From there, I managed to end up in Louisiana. The reason we wanted to move there is because my wife's family was there and we had a little boy, and that was his support network. So I ended to work for NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. They have a center at Stennis Space Center called the National Data Buoy Center, which puts out weather and climate buoys, tsunami buoys, basically around the United States and in the open ocean. And basically, I did that for 9 years until I retired, maybe 10 or 11 years.
There's so much of you and your background in this book, isn't there?
Yes, there is.
So how did the book come about? So why did you write this book? And the 7 characters with Alex, the main character.
I was intrigued when I worked in Germany on the nuclear missile system. I was intrigued by the fact that we would take these missiles, count them down in Germany, hold them, freeze them, take them completely apart, bring them to Florida, put them all back together, and there would be only one thing different in the missile because they would then fire them into the Atlantic Ocean. The one thing that was different was the heart of the nuclear weapon was taken out. It's called a plutonium pit. It's the size of a grapefruit. It's made out of plutonium. It's hollow. And basically, it's the trigger for the nuclear explosion. That would be removed down at Cape Canaveral, and an inert ball would be put in there, and then they would fire them. And so I started being intrigued at the notion, well, wait a minute, is there a way, would there be a way to basically cause the plutonium pit to stay in one of these things and for it to be put on the missile, and when it fired, it actually detonated? Because everything else in the warhead was exactly as it was in Europe. All the warhead events, there are a lot of complicated events that happen. So I became intrigued by that thought. And then I also became intrigued by the range of the missile. It had about a 500-mile range. And so I started looking at, well, could somebody hijack one of these things? So that was the motivation behind me coming up with the idea for the story. And I came up with it in the mid 1980s, actually. And
Really?
oh yeah. I had this in my mind for a long time.
So,
And
so Helmut, why the 7 characters? Why the 7 boys from Cuba? And Alex,
that
the main character.
well, so Alex is the hero, and the Cubans are the ones that end up wanting to kill Castro. And so here we have a convergence of two paths, where there's Alex, who is a patriot and the hero of the story, and there are the Cubans who want to figure out how to kill Castro. And the Cubans need to avoid going to Vietnam, and the boys, when they're like 18 or 19, and they find out that if they join the Army's Pershing missile system, they go to Europe instead of Vietnam. That's why they get into this nuclear missile business. Alex gets into the nuclear missile business in a different path by working up at APL, and they start coming together. Their destinies start coming together, and there's a lot of irony because Alex has no idea that they want to murder Fidel Castro. He doesn't know there's a conspiracy. And he not only falls in love with the girl that's part of the conspiracy, and they start having a relationship.
Let's keep the girl out of it for the time being. As you can see, everybody, there is so much of Helmut's background in this story. So let's get to the book and let's open it.
Okay.
Now, we have 40 eye-catching chapters here, everybody. And if you think we're going to go into all the 40 chapters, no, we're not. And if you want to explore all the chapters, I have a very simple answer for that. Go and buy the book. Now, Helmut and I have been chatting prior to coming on and over the last few days about where we're going to focus to give you, the audience, the listener, the viewer, a tantalizing glimpse as to what this book is about. So we're going to tease you with some areas of the book so that you can get a feel for it. And as I said, if you like the feel, if you like what you're hearing, then you can go and get the book. And then you can find out all and more about the adventures of these 7 boys, men, and the Persian missile system, and all other things. So let's go. As I said, if you want to find out more, you can go to Helmut's webpage, www.helmutportmann.com. There you'll find more about him, and you can get the books from there in all the formats. But I want to go to take the listener now, and I want to open this book up here. And I want to head to the section that both, Helmut and I, we've agreed upon. So I want to go to the first 2 chapters because these are very powerful opening chapters, everybody. So here we've got the title of the first chapter is December the 22nd, 1981. 0900 hours UTC, European Theatre, and June the 4th, 1970, 0930 EST, Tallahassee, Florida. The story starts off with Betty, which I understand was a W-50 thermonuclear warhead mounted on the tip of a Pershing 1A tactical nuclear missile. And these missiles were based in West Germany during the Cold War. And Betty was one of 107 missiles, everybody, placed there by NATO to protect Western Europe from Russia. You talk about NATO exercises, Helmut. You talk about the 1962 Cuban Missile crisis. You talk about Betty and her sisters being withdrawn in 1991. And then in chapter 2, what the young boys saw and witnessed, what happened to their parents in Cuba. So these are the 7 boys. Something happened. Something happened to them at the hands of Castro's revolutionaries army. And you're starting to hint at what this was in these 2 powerful opening chapters. So, would you care, Helmut, to give us an overall insight as to what these 2 chapters are about? The journey you're going to take us on here. Who are these characters? What's this journey?
Sure. So in the first chapter, Betty is the thermonuclear warhead that's on Pershing missiles. They're stationed at 3 secret, hidden in the woods combat alert sites in Germany, in West Germany, targeted towards the Warsaw Pact, really. Basically, those missiles are going to be in the future of the Cubans mentioned in chapter 2, but the Cubans have no idea yet. And the missile system has been in Germany since the 60s, and Ronald Reagan had become president. And basically, the Soviet Union was basically pretty scared of Ronald Reagan. They were pretty afraid of him. And he basically emphasized the missiles, came up with a new generation. The Soviet Union felt very threatened. And the war game that I mentioned in the first chapter really occurred. Reagan was president. The Soviet leadership was afraid that this NATO exercise was a cover for a surprise attack. And during this time, I was actually stationed in the woods with the missiles during this exercise. And I had no idea that the Soviets thought it was real and that they were putting all their nuclear weapons on alert. And this was basically it. When I read newspaper accounts after that, I'm only going to talk about what I read in newspapers. It became clear that this was the most serious nuclear confrontation between the U.S. and the Soviets since the Cuban Missile Crisis. It was pretty scary. We didn't really know that at the time. But anyway, so in the first chapter, I set the stage for this missile system, which is going to converge. It has a destiny with the Cubans that I mentioned in chapter 2. The Cubans in chapter 2, they're like, I think it's 6 boys and a girl. They basically, there's young children, maybe 10, 11 years old in Cuba, when their mothers and fathers are brutally assaulted, murdered, tortured by Castro's soldiers. And these kids see this. So they're young. They manage to get snuck out of Cuba and make their way to Miami, to Little Havana. And they don't know each other when they're leaving Cuba. They're from different parts of Cuba. But basically, they're all in the same elementary school in Little Havana, and they get to know each other. And as they start talking and sharing their stories, they all have a very, very intense, glowing hatred of Fidel Castro. And that hatred gets more and more intense as the story goes on. And they form a conspiracy as they get to be teenagers, where they swear that they are going to figure out a way to go and infiltrate Cuba and attack Castro in this tiny island called Cayo Piedra, where Castro basically had his luxurious hideaway. And nobody in Cuba really knows this. The public doesn't know this. They learn it through Ludo's childhood friend, who ended up joining Castro's security detail. And so he would accompany Castro when Castro would go to Cayo Piedra. So here we have chapter 1, the missile system, chapter 2, the Cubans and their vengeance. And they have a destiny where they're going to merge in the future.
This is a revenge story, everybody. It's a thriller. It's action-packed. The chapters are very short, punchy, powerful, but it's a revenge story. And it's the first of a series. And I'm saying no more because I'm going to swiftly move on to another part of the book. Now, Helmut, can we take the audience to the section of the book around chapters 7 and 8? This is now September the 15th, 1973, 5:30 UTC. We're in West Germany. Now, I do notice that in the book you flip from West Germany to Florida. West Germany to Florida. Very good. And, we've got Cape Canaveral, Florida, October the 5th, 1973. As it says, they're short, intense chapters. And here we've got Ludo. Now, Lieutenant Santander, that's his name. And I know in America you like to pronounce lieutenant as lieutenant. I get it. But here in the UK and other parts of the world, we say lieutenant. I have to get that bit in. Ha ha ha. We've got Delta Battery Command. We've got Red Hats. You're talking about POTU team from Heidelberg. A trip to Florida. We've got Cape Canaveral. You've got the Kennedy Space Center. And you've got a mini reunion with a purpose. This reunion is Ludo, Jose, and Anna. Of course, Anna is the female character here. So, don't give too much away here, Helmut. Where are you directing us?
So the Cuban conspirators, the boys and Anna, have managed to land, to merge together with the missile system. They did it. The boys did it to avoid Vietnam. Anna did it by actually joining the Applied Physics Laboratory and becoming an engineer up there. And so basically, those two chapters do two things. They carry the reader through the process of missiles being counted down in Germany at these secret sites, then being taken apart, brought back to Cape Canaveral, Florida, reassembled. The countdown resumed, and they actually get launched into the ocean, except for the fact that the plutonium pit is taken out, that the atomic trigger is taken out. The boys by now have, Anna is at the Applied Physics Laboratory, which does the evaluation of the missile system, how well it works. And the boys have joined the Army, and so they're at various positions in the Pershing system. And so they come down to the Cape, and I basically set the stage by showing what happens when they come down there. It's a little too technical, I guess, but basically I describe how the mechanics work of testing these missile systems in Germany, disassembling them, bringing them back to Cape Canaveral, reassembling them, and actually firing them, with the Cubans now embedded in various key roles in the missile system.
I told you it was action-packed, everybody, and they are. And there's a little romance coming down the line, but shh, we'll keep that quiet for the time being. Now, let's dip into the area of the book, Helmut, around chapters 13 and 14. I said there are 40 chapters, everybody, so we're moving down the line here. And the year is 1974. January 1974. We're in Heidelberg, West Germany, European theatre. For me, Helmut, when I look at these chapters, you're bringing some of the main characters, like Ludo, Raoul, Carlos, Angel, who are all involved in the Pershing program, I believe. You've got them in West Germany taking time out to talk about something very, very important. And it's to talk about Los Vengadores Commando Plan. And I hope I've got that pronounced right. No doubt you'll correct me if I haven't. So, talk us through the contents of what's happening here, because I feel you're starting to show the reader the beginnings of the plot to exact revenge on El Jefe. I think this is the start of the revenge. This is the start of the plot, everybody. which really is at the nub, the heart of this book. As I said, it's a revenge story. So more so about the boys and Anna's, our military careers and lives. This is what you're talking about here. But would you care to give us a sneak preview of where you taking us the journey here, what's unfolding here, but more importantly, what is Loss by Godore's Commander Plan? Don't give too much away.
Sure. What happens in these chapters is there's a merging of Alex Beck, the hero, with the conspirators. They end up getting together in Heidelberg, and there are two things happening. The conspirators are busy, as you said, starting to create an operational plan for going to Cuba and killing Castro. They're still planning on doing a commando raid, but they have figured out that if they can infiltrate different positions in the same Pershing unit that's going to go to the Cape Canaveral to be fired, they're in Florida. That gives them a perfect opportunity to figure out how to take time off and rent a boat and go to Cuba. So they start forming their plan. And by the way, along the whole storyline, the conspirators, including Anna, have been training intensely since they were in high school. They've been doing sports. They're physically building up their bodies. They're learning how to shoot, and they're learning how to use knives. And Anna and what's his name? Let's see here. Angel. They basically become black belt karate experts. And so here they are getting together in Heidelberg to discuss their conspiracy plans. And ironically, they spend time with Alex Beck, and Alex Beck starts forming a very strong friendship with them. They like him, he likes them. He has no idea what they really have in mind. He just knows they work in the Pershing missile system. And so he starts forming a really strong bond with them, which is really a key feature in the irony of the book. They do this, and that's probably the main thing about those two chapters, I think. The merging of Alex Beck and the conspirators who are now coming up with a plan.
Now, talking about Alex, he is the main character. And we haven't really touched upon him yet. So I felt that we need to look at Alex a little bit more. So I want to go to chapters 21 and 22, everybody. As I said, Alex is pretty much at the core of what's going on in this book. So let's explore Alex and not forgetting Anna. Now, I suspect there's a little romance going on here between Alex and Anna. And I think this is you giving the story, because it's a hard punching, it's an intense book. This is you giving the audience a little softer touch. You know, you're giving these hard characters, a soft touch, and you get a little bit of romance is creeping in here. So talk to me about what is unfolding here in these chapters 21 and 22. Alex and Anna.
So Alex and Anna meet when Alex joins APL, and Anna is already there as an engineer. They very quickly are physically attracted to each other, and they start forming actually an intense romantic relationship, very intense. And so at the same time, we go to Heidelberg. Anna is still back at Maryland at the laboratory, but Alex is now in Heidelberg, working in Europe. He has a beautiful townhouse on a mountainside. He has a Porsche 911. Life is good. He's making a lot of money because of this overseas differential. And by the way, during this time period, Ronald Reagan did away with the income tax for Americans overseas. And if you worked for an American company, you had to pay German income tax. If you worked for NATO, if you worked for the army, you fell into a hole where you paid nothing. So Alex is not paying income tax. He's making a lot of money. He's life is good. And this is where he really starts hitting it off with Ludo and Angel and the others. And by the way, Ludo is the brains of the outfit. He's the leader of the conspiracy. He's a thinker. Angel is a killer. Angel is lethal. He basically people learn very quickly that you don't want to cross Angel, and he's a dangerous person. Ironically, so is Anna. Anna she's the most intelligent one of the entire outfit, but she is also lethal. She's probably a better shot than Angel and just as good in karate. So here we have Alex building this strong, intense romantic relationship with Anna, while at the same time, and she's back in Maryland, but at the same time, he's building this intense friendship with Ludo and Angel, basically them mainly. And so this is kind of a setup for a convergence of their destinies.
All these 7 characters, Helmut, they all play a part. They've got their own distinguished characteristics. As you said, Ludo's the brains. Angel wouldn't give you a tuppence, to taking your head off. Anna, she's cold-hearted at times. She's a ruthless woman, but she can be very romantic at times. But she's got a hard nut to, character to her. She's not somebody who can be pushed around. So all these, and then there's Alex. Now, I think Alex is a bit of a flashy, he's a flashy guy. He likes, the cars, he likes to be, I don't know whether a little bit brash or not, but definitely he's got his own personalities. And I think we start to see this coming through more, these characters all knitting together, all blending together, because that's the whole purpose, to build up this revenge story. And in chapters 25 and 26, we start to get a sense that Ludo, Alex, Anna, Angel, Carlos, Raul, and Jose, I've called them the Magnificent Seven, everyone, because there's 7 of them. 7, Magnificent Seven. Helmut might take that one up, but he might be in trouble with royalties here. So to speak, they're going to seriously carry out a threat to assassinate Fidel Castro for what he and his revolutionary guards did to them. But this is where, the story is starting to hot up, because they've got a plan, but they need to put more meat on the bones, and they need to get a move on with this plan because it's just drifting. So this is where, this part of the book, this is where they're starting to put some meat onto the bones, starting to think we need to crack on with this. I'm right, aren't I, Helmut?
Right, I think that's correct. And it turns out with these missile firings in Florida, Ludo, Angel, and the boys, and Alex and Anna have more connections as they all get together down there in Florida. And at this point, the boys are still, and Anna are still planning on, taking a boat to go after Fidel Castro. They're still planning on that. Alex still has no idea about any of this. He thinks they're great guys, and they think highly of Alex. In fact, they discuss amongst themselves inviting Alex to join the conspiracy because they like him. But then they realize that Alex would never go for that. He's a patriot. He would not do that. So it keeps building the relationship between the conspirators and Alex, which becomes an entanglement.
Because the year is 1976, and they really do need, don't they, Helmut, to think, are they going to carry this threat out in 1977, or is it going to be the year after that? And that's why you've got them all, starting to think, we need to move here. I'm right about the timeline, aren't I?
Yes. And in fact, at that point in the book, a very ironic twist happens, which I'm not going to give away. But basically, there's a huge irony at this point where the light bulbs go off in the conspirators' minds, and they start looking at their target Castro in a different way. And you'll have to read the book to find out what happens there. But it's a very interesting twist in the story.
You will have to read the book, everybody, to find out what happens here. There is a twist, and we're not going into it. Now, I was intrigued by chapter 29, Helmut, and now this is May 1977, 11:30. You've got us in Ziegelhausen, West Germany. Alex is becoming, for me, he's a bit of a dashing character, a flashy character. He's got his Porsche 911, and, he's out to impress Anna, at Frankfurt Airport. What's the backdrop to this little ditty here, this little story?
This is the part where Anna goes and stays with Alex in Ziegelhausen at his house. Yeah, he's hopelessly in love with Anna and hopelessly in lust with her, and she with him. And so he's trying to impress her. He takes the Porsche up to 165 miles per hour on the Autobahn coming down, does that kind of thing. But basically, she's overwhelmed by his condo that he has. And they really have it builds their relationship even further. And the interesting thing is, Anna is a very lethal person. She does not like very many people, and she's very dangerous, like Angel is. And she's starting. Her brother, who is one of the conspirators, is one person she would never do anything to and would protect. And she's starting to feel the same way about Alex. So this becomes important towards the end of the book, but she really starts having feelings for Alex that would keep her from ever doing anything to harm him. And that's an important point.
Because when I looked at this part of the book, I got the feeling, and I still have the feeling, that at this point, Alex really doesn't know who she is. Yes, he fancies her, he idolizes her, but I don't think he's worked out that she could be a cold-hearted, blooded killer.
You're right. He has no idea. And
he's got no idea.
She has tremendous self-control, and so she can hide that, and he has no idea. And we'll see what happens towards the end of the book.
We will. She's no fool. She's no fool. Right. Now, talking about the end of the book, let's move on. And Helmut, I'd like to go to the area of the book around chapters 32 and 33. Now, these two chapters are very short. They're punchy. And we've got a target range. We've got a shooting range scene here. We're in Heidelberg, West Germany. Alex is paying a flying visit to Maryland. We've got tax exemptions. You've already touched upon this. I thought, should I interrupt him here, everybody? Because I knew this was coming down the line, but I thought, no, I'll let him rumble on. But I want to go back to it. Yes, as you said, we've got tax exemptions, Ronald Reagan's presidency, and talk of an extra suitcase. Now, this suitcase, everybody, is very, very intriguing because it contains 6 Walther PPK pistols. It also contains numerous extra clips and an ammo boxes, razor-sharp stiletto knives, BTOC cameras. This little trip, there's a lot of mystery behind it. Now, without giving too much away here, Helmut, what can the reader get from reading between the lines here as to what's going on? You're hotting this story up here.
Well, at this point in the conspiracy, even though Ludo is the leader, Anna is becoming the dominant player. And she basically brings the weapons from the U.S. over to Germany. uh, to basically, or did she go to Germany, or did she go to Cape Canaveral? It's probably Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, Cape Canaveral, but Alex has paid a flying visit to Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Anna's job is to bring the weapons down to Cape Canaveral, and the people with the right clearances and IDs at Cape Canaveral don't have to go through security. They don't have to open their cases. So Anna's job is to smuggle these weapons into the Complex 16 area where the blockhouse is, where the Pershing missiles get fired, because that's where the conspirators are going to be doing their job. And so the idea is that she will distribute the weapons to them. And I won't go into any details on what their plan at this point is. They still intend to kill Castro. And Alex still has no clue on what they're up to. So Anna has brought the weapons down, the tools that they will need to do what they want to do.
Mm.
It's really kind of
Now, Complex 16, everybody, in Cape Canaveral is very interesting. And if you want to know more what Helmut's talking about there, get the book, because I'm not going to tell you, and nor is he. Now, I said there are 40 chapters here, and I'm not going to go to the last few chapters because that gives the game away. But I want to go to close to those chapters. I want to go to chapters 35 and 36. And we're now in 1978. It's February the 3rd, 10:30, Canaveral, Florida. And we've got the 5th of February, 1978, 7:30, Cayo, Pedra, Cuba. Now, I'm not going to lead you here, you, the audience, you, the listener, the viewers, because normally what I do when I'm having a chat, I give you a little brief insight as to what you can expect here, and then, Helmut answers and gives you puts more meat onto the bones. I'm not going to say anything here. So, Helmut, without spilling the beans, what's the reader going to get from these two chapters?
At this point, the conspirators are at the Cape. They've managed over the last couple of years to get themselves assigned to the same firing battery that came down to Florida to shoot their missiles. So they're all together down there, and so they're together. They're in different jobs spread through the missile system, and they basically also have their weapons now. So whatever their plan is at this point to try to murder Castro, they have the tools that they need. They're all together, and they find out with Ludo's childhood friend Juan Perez, who's down in Cuba. Ludo finds out. He gets a note from Juan that basically Castro is on his island, and he will be there for a couple of weeks, sport fishing and partying. And so all the pieces are coming together now. They are all together at the Cape. They're in Florida, within reach of Cuba, right? They have their weapons. They have their plan. Anna is there as well. Now, ironically, so is Alex Beck, and he still knows absolutely nothing about what they're up to. Totally no idea. And so basically, all the pieces have come together now for them to execute their plan.
And what that plan is, everybody? Well, wait and see. So I hope we've given you a tantalizing glimpse into what this book is about. It is a revenge book. It's a thriller book. It's got lots of military information in it. And a lot of it is being worked on, based on what Helmut experienced in his own life. And so he's drawn upon his own experiences here to bring this book about. And it is the first book in the series. So this will be a series of books, everybody. So, Helmut, tell us what's coming down the line, with the next books.
Sure. The second book in the series actually was published 2 days ago and is available on Amazon. The title is Phantom of the Gulf. And the setting is the Gulf of Mexico. And what I can tell you is that in that book, the U.S. Navy has submarines and ships, surface ships, that are routinely working in the Gulf of Mexico. And they start encountering mystery contacts in the Gulf, acoustic contacts. And the way that happens is the oil field people, where Alex Beck worked originally, they have air guns that they hang over the side of oil rigs. They fire the air guns, and then the acoustic signals go through the ground formation, up the well, and they let them figure out where oil and gas pockets are. Well, those air guns echoes also bounce off submerged targets or surface ships, for that matter. And one of the U.S. submarines and one of the destroyers, over the course of a year, start noticing echoes from submerged targets that have no other signature. And a submarine, this is from my submarine days, a submarine has a signature, machinery noises that happen when it's moving. The only submarine that is very quiet when it's running on the batteries is a diesel submarine. So they start thinking, well, okay, maybe we're seeing a diesel submarine. They wonder, is it a threat? They don't think so. If it was, it would have to come out of Cuba. And what they're confused about is that these contacts seem to have a huge endurance. They can go for days, and the target is not coming up to recharge its batteries, to run its diesel to recharge its batteries. So there's something very strange going on. They're very confused by what these mystery contacts are. So the CIA forms a team that whose job it is to basically figure out what's going on. And the lead of the team is Alex Beck, and Anna is actually a member of the team. I probably don't want to go beyond that.
No, we'll leave it there. I think we've whet your appetite for that one there. And I believe that, Helmut, you will possibly have the third book out in the series in the summer. So we wait to see for that one, everyone.
Sure. The third book, I'm already 2/3 of the way finished with it.
Okay.
It's about swimmer defense.
And we'll leave that one there, everybody. Because
the title is Remora.
There you go.
And a remora is the little fish that attaches themselves to a shark. And so that's a pretty interesting story.
So that's coming down the line. So he's got this book out. There's another one just out, and there's another one out in the summer. Where can people get your book from?
What's that?
Where can people get your book from?
The easiest way is Amazon. If you go to Amazon and you type in the title, they'll come up. If you type in Helmut Portmann, they'll be coming up. The one thing about the first book, if you type in Adios El Jefe, right now it'll take you to the book. However, I'm changing publishers right now. That book, don't talk about that.
No, we'll leave that one there.
Okay.
That will be if you want to go to the book. Also, you can go to his webpage, www.helmutportmann.com, and there you can access the book as well, and you'll see more about him and the book and all his other adventures as well. Yes, he is switching to another organization, but we'll leave that one there, everyone. So I just simply have to say to Helmut, thank you very much for coming on my show today. It's been a great pleasure interviewing you and learning a little bit more about yourself and this fascinating revenge book. Helmut Portmann, everybody. I'm JT Crowley. Thanks for listening, watching, wherever you're in the world. Until next time, stay safe.